In 2017, when we went into the general election, we launched possibly one of the most radical manifestos that we'd seen in generations. When we go into this next general election, I tell you our new manifesto will be even bigger and better and more radical. And I just give you some of the ideas that we've been developing. I hope to be the Chancellor of the Exchequer, and I want to ensure that we reform the Treasury and we reform number 11 Downing Street as well. With the Treasury, I'm going to move large sections of the Treasury out of London and base them in cities around the country, in the areas where they'll be making decisions that affect those communities. And I think that will help the decision making. As for number 11 Downing Street, to be honest, I want to live at home. So I've suggested we don't want to have number 11 Downing Street standing empty. They might as well give it to a family who needs it. Do you know, there's been some real tragedies in recent years in our country where people are suffering from severe conditions have not been able to get access to the drugs that they need. We need proper regulation of these pharmaceutical companies. When we offer them money for research and development of particular drugs, we make sure actually that those drugs are then sold to the NHS at a reasonable price. They use patents to control the supply of the drugs themselves, and they control the price. We'll reform the patent system. It's time now that we have a pharmaceutical company that is owned by the people themselves. And that pharmaceutical company will be responsible for developing the new drugs that we need and supplying them directly to the NHS. In that way, we can cut the price of drugs dramatically, and no patient will be denied access to drugs. We need to wake up now, quickly, just as the young people have woken up in our community and started marching on the streets, explaining the threat of climate change. I think we've all got to wake up to that threat. That's why we've brought forward a policy called the Green Industrial Revolution. And it means mobilising billions of pounds, which we invest in our economy to make sure we no longer are dependent on fossil fuels, create our own alternative energy sources, wind and wave and solar power on a scale we've not seen before. Conserving energy too. Retrofitting our homes so that they're properly insulated. That programme would create at least 400,000 jobs, and there'll be skilled jobs and well-paid jobs. And we also want to work with other countries, particularly in the global south, so we share our ideas and our technology to enable us to work together to save this planet. You know, you work hard. Yeah, you earn an income, but what sort of say do you have about the future of your company? How people are treated, what wage levels there'll be, or what sort of investment there should be for the future. So what we're trying to do is make sure our society is really democratic. That means having some form of workers' democracy as well. We want to ensure that every company has a third of its board are workers themselves, representatives of the people who create the wealth in that company. Plus, we want to make sure workers own part of that company. Everyone has a share in the company and everyone has a say. That will transform people's lives at work. But we're also preparing for government. When you've had 9 years of austerity under a Tory and a Tory and Lib Dem governments, we're going to be left with, in many of our public services, a crisis, but also in our community, large numbers of people in poverty, many without homes, and with public services in some areas that have been absolutely smashed. So we know how tough it is, we know how hard the challenge will be, but we're up for it and we're prepared for it. We will be possibly the most radical government this country has ever seen. Why? Because actually the challenges we face need radical change and will succeed. In this country, we have a media that is owned by wealthy individuals who use it to promote their own political views. So we have to use the independent media that are willing to go out there and tell the truth. Double Down does exactly that. So I hope you'll be able to support them as best you can financially on Patreon.